One of our key product lines are our surveillance camera housings. They are housings that support miniature modular specialty cameras for the purpose of an effective facial image capture, or to be mounted to capture a perspective that you would want to drive analytics behind. And so we work very collaboratively with all of the major camera manufacturers to be able to develop these solutions that make it very efficient for end users and integrators to be able to incorporate into their facilities and accelerate security investigations or support analytics goals. Some of those could be biometrics, but there's lots of different use cases that we deploy these.
Yes, a lot of the collaboration has been with our end users in order to optimize the analytic applications that they've been deploying to supplement improved law enforcement investigation, retail loss prevention, biometrics. We have basically a solution that satisfies most retail and corporate as well as distribution center applications. Just to go over a few, our most popular solution is our countermount solution here. That solution has been rolled out to many financial institutions to enable analytics for identifying customers, identifying demographics, or changing digital signage. The biggest ROI on our countermount cameras has been proven with several of our financial institutions where it's dramatically reduced incidents of no passing holdups. In retail applications, it's perfect for identifying and capturing the faces of people at point of sale transaction points. So in the event of someone that is using a stolen card to process a transaction, you're getting perfect line of sight analytics of that person's face to improve loss prevention investigation. Another popular camera of ours that's been rolled out to many financial institutions, retail stores, and transportation facilities is our doorway camera. TJ Maxx has rolled our solution out to all of their loading docks. So that way, at the point when a tractor trailer pulls up to a loading dock, as soon as the roll-up gate is lifted on a truck, there's a camera that's pointing directly into that truck to make sure that there's surveillance coverage of every product that's unloaded and loaded onto that tractor trailer. Dollar Tree, many financial institutions, Dick's Sporting Goods has rolled our solution out at several of their stores to entryways and exitways on both sides of the entrance to be able to capture and mitigate theft within their facilities and also improve loss prevention investigations. We also have a loss prevention camera that we've partnered with some larger retail organizations that are deploying this solution in their aisles to actually perform real-time analytics on products that are removed from their shelves and placed in carts to be checked out. And at the end of the day, they can do immediate reconciliation of what products were removed from the shelves versus what was actually paid for. But that solution also supports the restocking of shelves, so that way real-time merchandising can be performed in retail organizations. We have a dual and a single drive-up camera enclosure that's been deployed in parking lot facilities, fast food facilities, to be able to validate the faces of people that are entering facilities as well as do license plate recognition. The retail organizations for fast food are using the solution to perform time measurement from time of order till time to serve, which we feel is an excellent analytic for those solutions to monitor the quality of the service in their fast food organizations, or the stores rather. We've also developed a wave to exit device. It's basically a dual technology device that supports also the addition of a camera. So in any of your entryways and exitways, wherever there's an operator to execute a door handicap operator or just to unlock the door, it's a perfect product to be able to perform the function of exiting a facility, but also maximizing perfect line of sight of a camera sensor to capture a person's face as well as any materials or products that they're carrying into a facility or exiting a facility. We've developed a transom mount camera that mounts above a doorway. That also has been used in several retail organizations to be able to have a very close top-down view of people as they're walking out of a facility with the goods that they have in their hands. So that way it's proven to be a very good solution from law enforcement to improve their investigation of being able to clearly see people's faces as well as the products that they've been exiting the facilities.
I want to talk about the new enclosure that we just designed to support arrivals in airports.
Yes, I mean, we have just recently developed a baggage claim camera enclosure, which is an enclosure that can be cut to height that's available from anywhere from 6 inches high upwards to 4 to 5 feet high, where you can mount cameras around the perimeter of a baggage claim facility, so that way you can capture the faces of people that are pulling their bags off the baggage claim belt. As we know, in many airports, there are people that walk into the airports and will steal luggage from those facilities. And having cameras that are up in ceiling, sometimes it's difficult to capture their faces if they're wearing a hat. So now at the point of where baggage claims are, bags are actually coming off the conveyor belt onto the baggage carousel, you're able to get perfect line of sight imaging of anyone that's removing any kind of luggage from a baggage carousel. Recently, there's many states that have passed legislation for the requirement of putting cameras in elevator cabs. So we've designed a corner and a side mount camera enclosure that supports the deployment of multiple cameras or camera sensors rather within elevator cabs. Our solution, we are an enclosure manufacturer, so we're camera agnostic. We partner with Axis, Verint, March, Avigilon, Invid, Vivotech. So any of the camera manufacturers out there that are developing small camera sensors, our camera enclosure support. This is a product that we introduced several years ago, and there's several top 5 financial institutions that are rolling our countermount cameras out at their teller stations to support analytics as well as demographics and to reduce the no passing holdups. The doorway cameras have multiple use cases. In addition to getting a better line of shot image of a person's face, we have some facilities that are actually enabling analytics to utilize those cameras to perform time and attendance. So now they can consolidate a separate system within their facility and migrate it to an analytics solution that's built into cameras that they currently operate within their facility. And then the most recent solution that we developed is the FDIC NCUA disclaimer plaque camera enclosures. So many financial institutions that would prefer to have a covert camera that is mounted to the top of a teller station or on a platform person's desk. We have a solution that embeds a camera from any of the manufacturers that make smaller camera sensors to deploy those cameras rapidly within the facility. In all of our solutions as well, we create custom brackets and mounts and angle devices to help maximize and simplify the installation of that camera for integrators deploying our product. So we work very closely with all of our integrators as well as our end users to create a very cosmetically appealing, discreet, low-profile solution to maximize law enforcement and maximize analytics. And another solution that we've recently created was a height strip camera. Now, the traditional height strip camera, which is one that we've also have created a solution for, is a good solution, but having a camera within a height strip is I don't think is really the best solution for the end user. What we've created is a camera enclosure that can mount either flush or surface on one side of the doorway, and then we've created an angled decal that is mounted to the opposite side of the doorway. So when someone leaves the facility, you have a camera that's actually recording the height of that person as they exit the facility, but because it's a right angle decal, anyone that's working within the facility can also be able to validate the height of that person as they exit the facility. We started this product group about a year and a half ago, and very proud of the sales team and the design team And we've reached the point where we're literally building probably about 1,000 or two of these enclosures on a monthly basis for various different types of deployments in multiple industries of retail, financial, education, government. From the GSX show that we just attended, there's still expressed a significant demand of adaptation of this solution in many facilities, especially because of the feedback that we've received from law enforcement. Because typically their complaint is that a lot of the cameras that are installed in ceilings, once they zoom in on the picture, or if someone's wearing a hat, there's really not much they can do in terms of performing a proper investigation of the crime that was committed, where our cameras are really accelerating that and improving that law enforcement investigation on any type of theft that occurs in client facilities.
And Rob, to your point, one of the questions that I often get, I think with some audiences that are not as familiar with our product or the whole concept and the value behind it, because it doesn't always come from somebody directly correlating to security investigations, is why would I need to see a facial image? What does that do for me? What are the risks? Is that something that I should be look a little bit more deeply on before I want to capture?
Yeah, I mean, that is a concern, but I mean, my impression is, we're in the United States, and it's, a lot of these solutions that are being deployed to create safer environments from us. So any of the concerns about being concerned about capturing people's faces is, what do you have to hide? If, we're trying to maintain the safety of the United States, and I don't think people should be concerned about capturing facial images, especially if you're not storing them for other uses down the road. I mean, it should purely used for investigations. And if there are any cameras that are being used for analytics, a lot of the manufacturers that are providing those analytics are not necessarily always capturing the facial images. They're just capturing the points of the person. So they shouldn't be concerned about any type of
Well, that would have to be a choice anyways, to layer on an analytic. Just by deploying these cameras doesn't mean that you're actually capturing PII.
That's correct.
You're just surveilling in a different perspective.
Correct. Yes.
And capturing a perspective that actually will help facilitate an effective investigation.
Right. I mean, we're basically taking cameras that are typically mounted in ceilings and lowering those cameras down to the actual points where people are exiting and entering facilities, where a transaction is being performed, where work is being performed, where cars and trucks are approaching and exiting a facility. So it's really, it's aligning, the technology that's performing the analytics and the camera surveillance in a perfect line of sight to mitigate any type of obstruction, to maximize the usage of that analytics, and as well as maximize a better view and a better recording of that video of that incident or of that activity within their facilities.
Right. Somebody walked through an entranceway, you were able to capture an effective facial image, and then later on down their journey in the facility, there was an event, you would be able to understand exactly who it was you're looking for.
Absolutely.
And then to go back to the analytics and the different options you have to layer onto that, in terms of a biometric, if there was a biometric analytic layered onto, right, if we're looking in total solutions, there's a camera, there's an enclosure that's the installation piece to help actually do the physical installation, and then there's an analytic that you can put behind it, which would open up capabilities for biometric access control and other perspectives.
Absolutely, and then as many of our end users are investigating, I mean, the first phase is to deploy the technology from a surveillance and then to improve law enforcement investigation, but then also take that technology and utilize it from an analytic perspective to identify demographics, so that way within the facility you can integrate it into your digital signage, so that way you can display more relevant content to the demographics of the customers that are walking into your facility. I mean, we find that that is more and more being utilized as a use case. The benefit of that is that if retail is able to take advantage of the usage of that analytics, now you're tapping onto the profit center that could pay for the technology. And many of our solutions, we we strive for that. So that way, because as everybody knows, security is a cost center, and it's challenging at times for them to be able to obtain the funds to deploy this technology in a quick way. But if you develop the technology to support retail use cases, now you're tapping into the profit center of the organization in order to enable the funding for that technology. So that way security, providing a safer environment to provide a more efficient law investigation, but also be able to tailor your digital signage to improve the customer experience, but also do identification. So, you could tie the analytic into watch lists. So if a person that's on a watch list is identified and coming into the facility, you can react and much quicker instead of waiting for a person to walk into a facility and be picked up by a camera that's up in a ceiling. You're capturing them as they enter the facility or as they exit the facility, like putting doorway cameras at a jet bridge. So as soon as someone comes off a plane that potentially could be on a watch list, you can identify them before they even get to the security checkpoint, which I find that's an invaluable use case for the airline industry.
Great, aviation in general,
Yep.
because the airport can respond better, the airline has the awareness, and it just facilitates more collaboration. And to your point earlier about the open architecture, using various forms of technology to be able to drill down, be able to develop cross-functional use cases that build out more informed decisions, from personalized marketing all the way down to generating data that helps that customer make more informed decisions.
Absolutely, and then it also allows them to repurpose, guard services, so that way they can do remote monitoring. They can centralize their guards to work in a facility, a centralized location within that facility, so that way instead of them walking retail stores and or whatever the corporate environment may be, they're monitoring these various different types of deployments of camera sensors that have, analytics being performed as people are entering and exiting their facilities, that they have the time to react and then perform mitigation before a potential crime could be committed.
Right. And there's also AI that can actually benefit commercialization as well, in terms of analytics that can look at a customer journey, identify potential sticking points in that customer journey, potential lost revenue based on decisions on how people navigate spaces.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, as retail organizations potentially would consider adapting to biometrics and maybe identifying their customers at transaction points, now what they'll be able to do is leverage that to prompt the cash register, the person that's ringing them up, because they know their customer, to ask questions that are more relevant based upon their purchase history, to make suggestions to upsell the customer. I mean, we've seen financial institutions do this with our countermount cameras, where they're able to identify a customer because they're enabling biometrics to be able to identify who the customer is, to ask them more targeted questions in the upsell or the cross-sell of that transaction. So I think it's invaluable from a retail perspective as well as a security perspective.
For all of our camera housings, they're camera agnostic. So we work very collaboratively with all of the major camera manufacturers: Axis, March, Verint, Vigilon, Hanwha, Vivotech, Invid, and others. We create our enclosures to accommodate all of those models. So within those camera models, those sensors, oftentimes they're modular cameras. The sensors come in different form factors. So there's a tombstone camera, there are bullet cameras, they come in pinhole, fisheye lenses, and some a mix. And so we just modify the brackets to support the specific make and model of the camera that's being selected. And we have developed with our engineering team matrices that identify by camera make and model what are the enclosures that support that specific make and model, what are the installation requirements, what are the hardware requirements about utilizing brackets and the supporting hardware to actually and physically install those cameras.
Our surveillance camera housing line is been developed very closely, collaboratively with our end users and our integrators, to make it extremely simple for them to deploy our solutions on various different types of surfaces, on walls, on countertops, within ceilings, above doorways, the side of doorways. We make all different types of adapters and brackets to make it very simple for the adaptation of our camera enclosures and brackets to be very easily installed by the integrator. The feedback that we've received from all of our major integrators, Securitas, Convergent, and JCI, is how simple the installation has gone for them. We make the cameras in various different types of finishes so that way they can match the actual surface that they're being mounted to accommodate any type of marketing or retail requirements for branding for that particular organization. So we've developed a significant amount of solutions to make it very simple for the deployment of our camera enclosures with all of our camera sensor partners.